What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench, guys, for another episode here on Ben Builds. As you can see, we don't have any model kit in front of us today. We're actually going to be doing something a little bit different. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've been working very hard on our F8F-1 Bearcat. And so far, this model is just absolutely fantastic. It's such a good little kit. It's so much fun to build. And I've really enjoyed working on it so far, but I am a little bit unhappy with my coloring. I don't like the Tamiya dark sea blue that I've chosen, so I'm going to go ahead and try something a little bit different. I want to add in some additional marbling coats, and then I want to overcoat the entire aircraft in MRP sea blue. And I don't know if it's really going to work, but I want to add in some more variation so it doesn't look so monotone. That's going to be my plan, but that being said, I actually do not have any of those products here on my bench, so I had to do some ordering online. It's going to take about a week to get those products. So in the meantime, I thought, you know what, instead of having just a kind of a dead episode and no content whatsoever, I would do something that I've actually been asked to do a couple of times now, and that is give you guys a look at my display case. Talked about it long enough. Let's go ahead and show you guys what it looks like. Let's go ahead and jump from the bench into the house and show you my display case. All right, here we go, guys. This is my display case. I bought this in 2007 from IKEA, and as you can see, it's pretty full. This has seen a lot of moves. It's actually held up really, really well, so let's go ahead and take a look at what I've got inside. Before we get started in the actual display case, up at the very top, I actually have a couple of odds and ends, including some kits. These are all KB1s, but this middle KB1 is actually the very first model I ever built on YouTube. So that's the 1939 edition. Kind of a fun fact there for you. But now let's go ahead and get into the display case itself, and we'll start off with the very top shelf. And this is my Star Wars shelf. You'll see a couple of familiar faces, such as the lightsaber hilt for my Kylo Ren lightsaber, my A-wing that I built, my Star Destroyer that I also built a little bit later, both for Sci-Fi Wednesdays, and then the rest of it is just a random assortment of figures, little knickknacks and whatnot, all Star Wars related. Now this shelf is probably going to change because I only have 2 additional Star Wars kits that are not in here on the shelf, and I've got a couple more in the stash that I'm going to be building, so I want to go ahead and kind of reorganize that top shelf, but for right now, this is absolutely fine, and it's still a fun little shelf. But if we go ahead and drop down to shelf number 2, this is where we start seeing a lot of my model kits. This is kind of my Access Powers shelf. A lot of familiar kits here, such as the Albatross, my very first kit that I built with Joe, the A6M3 Model 32. We've got my J2M jacket just finished recently. We've got a couple of kits from the 12 Sprues of Kitmas. Got the Kate and the ME262 from Season 2 and Season 1. We've got our ME109, we've got our G55, and of course we've got another 12 Sprues with the KI61. Awesome, great kits, a lot of fun. We also have a couple of other builds, another 12 Sprues of Kitmas, the J87G, and we also have an Focke-Wulf 190 A8. A couple of figures there for my A8 as well when I did have my diorama kind of put into place. So overall, that's my Access Powers shelf. Now moving on down to shelf number 3, this is my Allied Aircraft shelf. Majority of these you'll have seen in one form or another on the bench. The only one you really wouldn't have seen a build series on is that Seafire back in the back there. Everything else you've already seen. We've got our Dewatin D520, we've got a couple of kits from 12 Sprues, the P40 Tomahawk, and we also have the Wildcat and the Lag 3. We've got a Newport 17, we've got a P36, and of course our larger Lag 3 right there that we built with Joe. We've got a P40, we've got our Spitfire Mark 14, and of course in the very back we've got our very first and only so far egg plane. So really fun shelf, very enjoyable. Moving on down to shelf number 4, this is all just American stuff right now. We've got our P47 and our P51 that we did for 12 Sprues, the A4, the F86, and the FA18. In the back here, you won't actually have seen this one. This is an F7U Cutlass that we built. I think it's a Hobbycraft kit. And then behind that is the Mac Stang that I built for the Charlie Mac Appreciation Group build years ago. And another one you wouldn't have seen on the bench. This is the F104 Starfighter. And this one I actually built years ago, one of my very first natural metal aircraft. And yeah, a really nice little kit by Hasegawa. So overall, mostly American aircraft. Now moving on down to the next shelf, guys, this is right now kind of a work in progress. It's a little bit of Cold War aircraft, a little bit of World War II aircraft. It's just, yeah, it is what it is. I'm eventually going to be putting more Cold War aircraft down here, probably jets, but for right now, we've got our F9F8P Photo Cougar. We've got our FJ2 Fury that I built a little while ago. We've got our Su-15 in the back there, and then we have 2 Russian aircraft. We have an LA-5. Again, you wouldn't have seen this one on the bench. I built this before I started the channel back in the probably early 2000s. We've got an LA-7 that I built for 12 Sprues. Great kits, a lot of fun. Yeah, they were challenging, especially these 2 Kitty Hawk kits off on the side here, but for the most part, a great time on the bench. I'm hoping to add to this shelf an FJ3 Fury, and maybe if I'm feeling adventurous, maybe another Cougar. We'll have to see. I still need to build the gun version, so we'll get there eventually. Now we've reached about the halfway point, guys. Moving on down to the next shelf, you might recognize this. This is the F-105 Thunder Chief. This is, I think, the second build series I did here on the channel. We've got our Chevy pickup truck that we built a while back. And then, of course, in the very corner here, this is the oldest model kit I still have this together. This is the Star Fury that I built back in 1998. From Babylon 5. Then, of course, we have our Sci-Fi Wednesdays. In the back, we've got our very first Sci-Fi Wednesday kit in the Viper Mark 7 right here in the corner. That actually was a really fun kit by Mobius. And then we have our NCC 1701E USS Enterprise. Again, a great kit, a little finicky on some fit issues, but overall a really fun project. Now moving on down to the next shelf here, guys. These are all kits that you would not have seen here on the channel. I built these before YouTube was even really a thing. This is an F4 Phantom. This is a Hasegawa kit, followed here by an A4B Skyhawk. Again, another Hasegawa kit. Very hard to find this one. You'll notice it's the exact same one as I built in 12 sprues, but in 1/72nd scale. So kind of interesting. Moving on to an FJ4 Fury. This is the Hobby Boss kit. Scratch build details in the ammo bay with that little door open. And then followed lastly by an F4D Skyray. To me, a kit, awesome fit. I'm hoping to rebuild this with Joe, kind of give an updated version of the old kit before I knew how to weather or do any sort of pre-shading or post-shading into now more of a modern build. So that should be kind of fun. And moving on down to the last shelf, guys, this is kind of a mishmash of a bunch of different stuff. Mostly we've got a couple of unfinished kits. We've got a Panzer III right here. I really like the look of the Panzer III, but again, I have no idea how to build tanks, so I was just kind of muscling through that. We've got a P-38, which I was building up as a reconnaissance F5E, and then we have a 1/35th scale KV-1E. I will eventually finish them, just haven't done it quite yet. We'll get there. Then finally here in the corner, we've got a bunch of lightsabers. We have Count Dooku's lightsaber here at the top. Below that, we have Kylo Ren's lightsaber, and then in the front here, we've got Mace Windu's lightsaber all in the cases, and then the two lightsabers up on top are some aftermarkets, one by Saber Trio and one by Ultra Saber. And that's it. That is my display case. It always changes. It always shifts. You have new kits coming in, new kits going out, and as you can see, it's actually pretty full. So I'm going to have to go ahead and do a little bit of weeding, kind of come through, pull some old kits out. I want to add another shelf or two if I can, and just kind of go with that. So that is my display case, guys, as it stands right now, but that's actually not all the kits I have. If we turn our attention over to my desk where I do most of my work, right here, you guys have seen these. This is the T-70 X-Wing that I built by Bandai not too long ago with my custom base. And of course, behind that, we have the Mandalorian-inspired Raider ATST, also with custom base. These were great kits. I had so much fun with these, and I haven't put them in the display case quite yet because, again, like I mentioned, I want to go ahead and redo that top shelf. The top shelf right now that is Star Wars, I want to take out some of those figures and kind of rearrange everything. Right now, they're just kind of on the desk just so I can look at them and appreciate them and enjoy them. That's pretty much all we have here at home. Now, if we go real quick over to my office, this is actually my work office. I don't have any video, just a still picture, and I have a couple of models here that you guys may have seen on the channel. This is kind of just my overflow. So any models that won't fit in my display case, I put them over here in work, and it seems to work all right. I also have the USS Kelvin there, but it's not shown in the picture. But that is it, guys. That is my display case and a couple of other little areas. Hope you guys had fun on the tour. We'll go ahead and get you another video out next Monday, hopefully back on the Bearcat. So until then, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool. And we'll see you back here on the next episode of Ben Builds. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you soon.